The attack was swift and brutal. The victim, Steve Hindi, had his head split open.
Six staples to close that.
His rib broken.
Where's the rib? Where do you have it?
Right here.
And his back separated. If Hindi looks familiar, it's because he is. Let's rewind the timeline to reveal why. Hindi, the founder and president of Shark, an animal advocacy group, partnered with us last summer to expose a big illegal cockfighting arena near Morgantown, Kentucky. High-tech drones and hidden cameras captured the cockfighting ring.
Look, this is complete insanity. This is absolutely nuts.
The exposure forced that arena to close. Since then, Hindi and Shark have exposed other illegal cockfighting rings too.
I think it's somewhere around a dozen.
It was a new tip about another cockfighting arena that brought Hindi and Shark to this rural area near Waterloo, Ohio on January 3rd. Hindi had just launched his drone again when this man approached and slapped the controller right out of Hindi's hands, then smashed it on a mailbox. Bad turned to worse with a kick. The attacker then turned toward this SUV where another Shark investigator is behind the wheel. Hindi yells out, "Drive! Drive!" The investigator got away. Hindi did not. He was taken to the ground, punched, kicked, and stomped on. Bloody and dazed, Hindi was struck again by another man.
Last chance, please, or you die here.
He wasn't out of the woods. After crawling, then walking away, the men who attacked him caught up with him again. This time, his cameras were gone.
They proceed to beat you again?
Yeah.
Hindi got away and hid behind some trees.
They didn't get the phone. It was deep in the pocket.
There was no cell signal out here, so Hindi says he recorded a quick message to his family, just in case.
And then I said goodbye to my daughters and my girlfriend.
On the road,
still being followed.
That Shark investigator who sped away was now being tailed by a pickup, which began to ram him. On the 7th hit, the SUV was spun into a ditch. On the video, you can just make out the pickup truck that rammed him, which stopped, then drove off.
So this is the first time you've seen the car since what happened?
Right.
Okay.
At an impound lot, Steve Hindi, still healing from his wounds, surveyed the damage.
Well, you know, I mean, he could have been very badly injured or killed. And
The same goes for Hindi, yet none of the attackers have been charged.
I think they should have been arrested immediately. I think they are clear and present danger.
Without charges, we hid the faces of the men who attacked. But behind those blurs, we can see their faces, and Hindi knows who they are. So does the sheriff, Jeffrey Lawless.
Which is kind of a funny name for a sheriff.
I joined Hindi in Ironton to try and talk to Sheriff Lawless.
So I do need to talk to the sheriff, please.
The sheriff currently isn't in today.
I was told that 12 times on the phone, too. So I asked the deputy behind the glass for a copy of the incident report and was told no.
That is considered public record in Ohio.
2 days later, Sheriff Lawless sent me this copy of that incident report. The attacks are listed as felonious assault and a felony theft. But again, after more than a month, no one's been arrested or charged. Sheriff Lawless promised an on-camera interview to explain that. But after calling the sheriff and leaving a message a dozen times, I'm still waiting. So are Steve Hindi and the members of Shark.
Anybody who would do this to us could potentially do it to somebody else. I would want those people off the street right now.
I'm Dwayne Pullman, Local 12 News. At the Lawrence County Courthouse,
I'm going to prove to you the elements of each charge.
a criminal trial is underway.
In this case, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to...
James Newcomb is facing felony charges for a violent confrontation we exposed months ago on the road outside his home. That's Newcomb attacking Steve Hindi, the founder of Shark, an animal rights group funded by the Humane Farming Association to expose cockfights across the country. On January 3rd, Hindi and a shark investigator were trying to capture cockfighting at the Newcomb family farm. Hindy's head was split open, his rib broken, and his back separated. A short time later,
Still being followed.
Shark's investigator was trying to drive away when Newcomb tailed him and repeatedly rammed him with his pickup, running him off the road.
The evidence will show.
While James Newcomb faced a judge and jury for those attacks, his attorney made it clear cockfighting was not on trial here.
Folks, today's case is not about chicken fighting.
The Newcombs have repeatedly told me they're not involved in cockfighting. But this undercover video from Shark appears to reveal a cockfight inside an arena at the Newcomb farm on July 18th. That's James Newcomb, smiling in a white shirt at the center of the cockfighting ring, the same man who attacked Hindi. And that's his wife, Becky, marking the roster of roosters and tracking it all at the table. I repeatedly reached out to the Newcombs to ask about this video.
I want to get your side of all of this.
They didn't return my calls. At the courthouse, I asked James Newcomb in person.
James, are you allowed to talk to us?
I ain't not talk to you, and I don't even want to talk to you.
All right, I appreciate it. Well, I'm right here. I'm allowed to be here just like you, sir.
Newcomb's wife, Becky, didn't want to talk either, but denied she and her family held cockfights, even though that was clearly recorded on camera.
I mean, the thing is that he's got that video of you guys doing cockfighting.
No, he does not have a video of me talking to him. No, he does not.
That undercover video was captured by this informant.
How dangerous is it for you to be talking to me?
Very dangerous.
The informant asked us to hide their identity. We've replaced their voice, too.
Why are you blowing the whistle?
Because it's illegal. It's been going on for years, and they need to stop it.
The informant tells me the Newcombs have regularly held cockfights for more than a decade, and were hosting cockfighting on the day that Steve Hindi was attacked.
We was cockfighting.
And that's why they assaulted him, to stop him from seeing that?
Yes.
Cockfighting is a blood sport where the roosters often die during the matches. In the undercover video, the informant captured this, a bag full of dead roosters. The informant says countless dead birds often pile up.
I have seen 2 or 3 barrels full of dead chickens, roosters, maybe 50 to 100.
Violence, the informant says, goes hand in hand with cockfighting.
So the violence is nothing new?
No, that's nothing new.
Behind it all, entry fees, tickets, and betting.
So it's easy money?
Easy money.
On the same day the informant was documenting the cockfighting inside, a deputy arrived. But the informant says he never got out of his car.
He didn't mind the cockfighting going on.
Steve Hindi went to the sheriff and prosecutor.
So you've reported this?
Oh, yes, many times.
And they've done nothing?
Nothing.
I repeatedly called for comment.
Can I leave a message again?
Yep, you can do that.
I've left a zillion messages.
And traveled to Lawrence County to try to get an interview with the sheriff.
I'm looking for Sheriff Lawless. I was told the sheriff is over here.
The sheriff?
Yeah.
And prosecutor.
Well, I got to talk to him.
Neither responded, and the cockfighting captured on camera was not investigated.
There's serious stuff that goes on here. People get hurt. People get killed. People.
You're living proof of that.
Well, I am, unfortunately.
All right, everybody may be seated.
James Newcomb did not face charges for cockfighting, but here in court, he did face a jury for his attacks on Steve Hindi and that shark investigator. After 2 days, the verdicts were in.
We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn and affirm, find the defendant, James V. Newcomb, guilty of felonious assault.
James Newcomb showed little emotion as he was found guilty of felony and misdemeanor assault and felony theft. His wife, Becky, seemed stunned.
They know what goes on in their community.
While Steve Hindi is pleased with the verdicts, he's disappointed that cockfighting, which is at the center of the violence, was never on trial here. And he says that means the illegal cockfights will continue.
they will never, ever take down Cockfight.
Dwayne Pullman, Local 12 News.